I'm 20 and I live with my mom, who is 48, in the UK. I'm autistic and don't like peas because of the texture that makes me feel bad. I'm dependent on my mom because I'm not able to live on my own yet, but I'm learning. Mom hosted a mini dinner for some colleagues. Her husband has a big house and a garden where we sat. I don't like dinners and eating with strangers, but I had to sit with them, which was a little bit stupid. They made food I don't like. It had peas in it and I don't like peas. My mom knows this, but I wasn't allowed to eat other stuff because it would be making a fuss and there was no time to make other things. I was not allowed to make something myself either. I picked out the peas from my dinner to feed the ducks at the pond close to my stepdad's house because I know ducks like peas. They shouldn't eat bread because that's bad for them. I put all the peas in a little cup with my spoon. Mom's boss was sitting opposite of me and asked what I was doing, so I told him. He was silent for a while and then said okay. We didn't talk a lot, but sometimes he asked me a question and I answered. At the end he gave me some more peas that he had removed from his own food. I asked if he also didn't like peas and he said, I do like peas, but I also like ducks, so they can have my peas, which I think was nice of him. He also gave me £5 to buy ice cream for myself when I fed the ducks, which was also very nice of him. We didn't talk much, but I think he was a nice man and I liked him. But when he left he talked to my mom and she came to me and she was angry or upset. She asked me if I spent all dinner picking out peas and I said no. I also ate the pasta bits, but there were a lot of peas to pick out. She asked why I did that in front of everyone because that's very rude to do during a dinner. It shows you do not like the food and are not interested in the guest. This is exactly what I thought, so that's true. Mom said that she understands that it's not nice, but if she says it's important, like she did before dinner, then it really is important and I should keep that in mind. They were people who deserve respect and who feel put off by others touching their food strangely or not engaging with them. Mom's boss told her before he left that maybe next time I should eat something else because I didn't eat much. I'm not a big eater, so it's kind of normal for me, but he doesn't know that, of course. But the point is that he said something negative to her that could have been avoided if I didn't pick the peas out of my food. I didn't think about this. I understand that that is not a good thing, but my mom was genuinely upset and I think that is a little bit much. It's just dinner and he was a nice man. I don't think he's angry at her. I was just wondering if I'm not seeing something important here that makes it an odd thing to do. Am I an idiot? Thank you. Update. Thank you very much for your insight. I appreciate all the comments and also the awards. I think that's very cool to receive. Some comments said to talk about it with my mom. I did and it went very well. She said sorry and said it was not my fault. She explained to me how it went and I will try to tell it as short as possible. Mom was very stressed because she never hosts dinners. She wanted her colleagues to like it. They requested the recipe. She forgot I didn't eat peas because she was too busy with her colleagues. She wanted me to eat with them because at her colleagues' houses kids also ate with them. She didn't want to make a fuss about my autism because sometimes I'm rude when people ask about it. She said her head was all over the place all evening. I said to her that that's why I could have made my own food. She said that was difficult because there was no time for that. I didn't realize because I'm not good with time awareness. I asked her to communicate with me next time and be more clear about what I can or can't do. She said she will and said I can help cook next time too. Almost every comment said that her boss was nice. He probably wasn't angry or upset with her. I told this to my mom. She said sorry to me again because she wasn't upset at me at all. She was embarrassed because she tried to get me to behave normally and she shouldn't have done that. She took it out on me on a whim. I also said sorry because I didn't realize that it could have been important for her work status. I just thought they were like friends. She said it was okay because I didn't make a big fuss and I didn't get loud or walk away. She's proud of me for staying at the table and also thinking about the ducks. We concluded that we both learned things. I learned things because I now know more about work dinners and manners. She learned things because she now knows to communicate and explain more to me to avoid stress. In the comments, people also said her boss might have experience with autistic people. I asked my mom and it was a little bit sad. His little brother was autistic, but he died 10 years ago. It made him sad because he loved him a lot. He told her I should eat things I like next time because it upset him to think mom was worried about appearances so much that I had to be uncomfortable during dinner. He also said that dinner was really good and that he's happy to have her in his team at work. He's a good person and a good boss. I sent him a thank you email with my mom. Last thing is that I fed the ducks the peas. I think they were happy about it. The thing with ducks is that they don't say that to you, of course. I got an ice cream with 2 scoops at the pond. I also got one for my mom because I had money left. It was a little bit melted when I came home because it was 5 minutes walking, but she still liked it and she said I was amazing. Thank you for reading. Not an idiot. As someone who had pet ducks, I can confirm that those little quackers not only like the peas, they love them. They're the ultimate duck snack. After my ducks discovered that the freezer was where I kept peas, I couldn't open the freezer without being mobbed. Not an idiot. When we're young, we assume our parents are perfect. As we get older, we learn that that's not true. They're humans and thus prone to mistakes and miscommunications. It's good that your mom was able to recognize her own mistakes and learn from them. Have you ever fed peas to the ducks? Let me know in the comments. You won't want to miss the next story since it has everything, from vengeful legal action to a disastrous ending. Am I an idiot for taking my niece to court over a coat? I am a female, 28, and have a niece, 16, female. She is my only sister's only child. 2 years ago I married a very wealthy man. male 34, and because of the pandemic, last Christmas was my first with my in-laws. My mother-in-law gifted me a coat that is worth more than $20K. I saw her wearing it, asked her where she bought it, and she said that it will be my Christmas gift from her. I didn't know how much it was. I knew it was expensive, but I thought maybe $3K at most. I was visiting my sister last January when my niece saw it. She googled the brand and showed me how much it really was. I won't lie, I didn't wear it after that because I was afraid of ruining it. Last week, I wore it while visiting my sister. While I was putting it back on to leave, I felt something go splat on my back. Then my niece started cackling and the smell of paint hit me. I was so pissed off while she was not apologetic at all. Her mom screamed at her and said she was grounded. Then she said she will pay for the dry cleaning. While I was in my car, still in shock BTW, I got an alert that my niece posted a reel. It was of her doing a prank on me, and she said I'm going to hit my aunt's $20K coat with a paint-filled balloon to see how she reacts. I saved it on my phone, sent it to her mom and told her that a week's grounding is not enough. She did not reply, but I saw that my niece took it down. It got less than 5 views by then. The next day I found out my coat could not be saved, so I called my sister and told her that her daughter has to pay it back. Well, we got into an argument and she said that they will not be paying for it, and if I wanted a new one, I should get my husband to buy it for me. I think that they should pay for it. They can afford to. IMO, they should sell my niece's car and pay me back my money. We did not reach an agreement, so I told her that I will be suing, and reminded her that I have video evidence that her daughter A did it on purpose for online clout and B knew exactly how expensive it was. People in my life are not objective at all. I have some calling me an awe, some saying they are the AHs for not buying me a new one, and some so obsessed with the price of the coat that they are calling me an awe for simply owning it and wanting a new one. So am I an idiot? So here is a quick update, since the situation has been resolved. When my husband got home, I told him what happened and showed him the video. He asked if I spoke with my brother-in-law and I said no. All my conversations were with my sister. He said that he will take care of it. Now, a disclaimer, I understand nothing when it comes to insurance claims, and this is what my husband told me I understood happened. My husband talked with my brother-in-law, told him exactly what happened and showed him the prank video. Then he told him that the coat was insured. We will be filing a claim and submitting the video, and we might have to file charges for the claim. He assured him that we would be dropping the charges. We do not want to send niece to jail. Then he told him that one of two things might happen. After our insurance pays us, they will come after them. If their insurance pays, their premium will skyrocket. If it doesn't, they might sue them and might get a lien on their house. My brother-in-law asked if there was a way he could pay us without involving insurance. My husband told him that that was what we wanted at first, but that my sister insisted that they will not be paying us back. Apparently, my brother-in-law was not in the know, and he was very pissed off at what my niece did, and my sister's response. So they came to this solution. My niece's car will be sold, and if it doesn't fetch the whole compensation money, she will have to get a job and pay me the whole check until it is paid off. Also, she is grounded for the rest of the school year. I am thankful for the people who encouraged me to talk with my husband. No idiots here. That's a fair outcome that avoids lifetime level consequences for the niece and still stings hard enough to make the point. Communication is always a good place to start, and very glad your brother-in-law stepped up to handle the situation appropriately. No idiots here. What an excellent resolution. Thanks for sharing it. Your brother-in-law is a very good man. I hope your sister realizes how lucky she is to have a man with integrity. Hopefully, your niece is getting a timely life lesson that helps her future adult self understand more about life consequences. Would you have sued your own niece? Let me know in the comments. You won't want to miss the next story, because the boyfriend needs some serious help. Am I an idiot for asking my boyfriend to charge his family member for fraud? I, a female 27, and my boyfriend, male 34, have been together 5 years and have worked really hard to save for a house. 2 weeks ago we fell in love with a house and we put down an initial deposit to hold the property. The house won't be built until the end of 2022. We have been in talks with a mortgage broker and the builder's finance people. Last week we received some shocking news when my boyfriend's credit score came back as being bad. There was activity on the statement that was 100% not his and a credit card that has gone into default over the last 6 months. This credit card was originally my boyfriend's, but he swears he closed the account and canceled the card mid-2019. Long story short, we discovered that a family member that was living with him a few years ago has gotten a hold of the card at some point and has been using the card on and off since 2019. They defaulted on payments in early 2020 but paid this off, then defaulted again in December of last year, and the account is still in default and over $5,000 is owed in charges and late fees. Charges for shopping, news agency, takeaway food and pubs, gambling. My boyfriend has had zero knowledge of this as he hasn't had access to the account after he closed it, and hasn't been receiving statements or notices from the bank. The family member has diverted these to their address. We're now unable to successfully apply for a bank loan for our house as they won't lend to my boyfriend with his credit the way it is. Our options are to 1. Proceed with fraud investigations and charges in the family member allowing us to prove this is of no fault of my boyfriend's and successfully secure the loan. Or 2. Boyfriend pays the debt and we wait at least 2 years from the payoff date for his credit to regain some loss. Option 2 sets us back at least 3 years in starting a family and our lives as homeowners. This will also not allow my boyfriend to secure a bank loan to start up his own business he's been dreaming of starting for a few years. This was the year he planned on. This has devastated us and put a massive delay in our plans. My boyfriend doesn't like conflict and is going with option 2. He isn't even planning on mentioning anything to the family member. He wants it to all go away and thinks this family member is going through a rough time. I want my boyfriend to proceed with fraud charges and investigation. We have worked too hard to not have our dream house and him owning his own business. So am I an idiot for pushing my opinion on my boyfriend? Update. I want to begin by thanking everyone for their advice on my original post. There were some really constructive strategies and words of advice. I spoke with my boyfriend about my concerns and was honest with him that things he was telling me didn't all make sense. He was adamant he didn't know anything about the credit card or the apparent inquiries on his credit account about payday loans. My boyfriend is still refusing to open any fraud investigations against his family member and has said he will pay off the debt himself. But some other things came out during our conversation that he was hiding from me. Lying has been a big issue of his during our whole relationship. In the past I have forgiven him for his lies, but I can't keep forgiving the same issue every few months when he promises to change. But we're in the same spot every few months. And I'm not talking little lies. I'm talking big lies and even bigger lies to cover up those lies. I know I'm stupid for giving him the benefit of the doubt, so in saying this, my boyfriend is now my ex-boyfriend. When I spoke with my boyfriend about my concerns above, he ended up picking up his bag and walking out on me and drove away. That was the last time I saw him in person. This is how this man dealt with an issue in our 5-year relationship. We haven't spoken much since, but I have definitely resigned to the fact my relationship is over. I think he is expecting me to forgive him like all the previous times. I have packed up his stuff and will return to him after my city comes out of our 6th lockdown. There is a good ending to this story though. I spoke with my mortgage broker and the housing developers. I can't afford the original townhouse I fell in love with alone, but a smaller townhouse that I also loved came available and I've been approved for this one. I paid my deposit 3 days before my birthday last month. I bought a house by myself, not an idiot. I just want to say that you are never stupid for loving someone and trusting them, and wanting them to be their best selves. It is his fault he lied to you, not your fault that you believed him. If he wasn't so dishonest, then your decision to trust would have been fine. It's his lies that made it a bad decision, not yours for trusting him. Not an Am I an idiot for getting mad about my boyfriend's guy nights? So me and my boyfriend, C, have the same friend group. There's 5 guys and 3 girls including myself who are all dating guys in this group. For context, I was introduced to the group 4 years ago and I started dating C over a year ago. He joined a year before we dated. Anyway, on to the story. So the boys in my friend group have started a thing called Guys Night where they go out and do everything we all do together but without us girls. Here's the thing, all of my friends are boys. I don't know the girls in the group too well, and while I have friends outside the group, I'm nowhere near as close with them as I am with this group. They say they need to spend some quality time with their friends and that if I went they'd have to invite their girlfriends. And it's not every so often, it's every 2 weeks on a Saturday, which is the one day I can go out. So basically while my boyfriend goes out with all my friends I have to be stuck at home by myself. And what's worse is when we all do hang out they constantly bring up stuff that happened on Guys Night saying you had to be there. This had been going on for months. Last night my boyfriend came over to mine from a Guys Night really happy and was texting his friends when I asked him why I couldn't go. He made a vague gesture at my chest and crotch saying I wasn't a guy. I then asked him why he couldn't skip it to spend the night with me and he rolled his eyes. I lost it. I started crying and screaming at him, calling him an idiot for allowing me to be completely isolated when I've told him how shitty it is. He ended up leaving and called me a butch. He's staying with one of our friends who's saying I was being the idiot for yelling at him that way. The girls all agree with me though and I don't know if I should apologize. Edit. I feel like everyone is confusing what I'm saying. I'm not mad he has his own hobbies, that's amazing. I'm just upset that I'm being excluded because of my gender from my friends who I introduced him to. I've been told explicitly this by him and his friends. Also, we don't live together and I only see him a few times a week. Edit 2. I should also add that my boyfriend sees all his friends during the week but they schedule Guys Night on the one night I can go out. As I said in a comment, I see him 2-3 times a week and he sees them at least 4 times, 5 on Guys Night. I see my friends once a fortnight. Update. So about 2 weeks ago I posted here asking if I was an idiot for getting mad at my boyfriend for his guy nights. The post didn't get a lot of attention, but the attention it did get was controversial and there were a lot of differing opinions, so I figured I'd do an update as a lot has happened. So after I posted I ended up contacting the girlfriends in the group to see what was up and we started noticing some fishy stuff. Their boyfriends and the guys in the group would say the exact same things to them as they did to me. Stuff like we'd invite you but then the other girls will want to come. We also figured out that there were other nights that all the guys were free but that wanted to do status for some reason. One of the girls, H, was suspicious for many other reasons so she checked her boyfriend's phone. I don't condone what she did at all BTW, but in this circumstance I excuse it. While looking, she found a group chat called Boys Night, which she had never heard of. She was super suspicious at this point and clicked it to be greeted by a bunch of very interesting messages from the boys in our group. Well, guess what? Turns out guys' night was really go to a pub and cheat on your girlfriend night. The message was in reference to one of the girls my boyfriend was sleeping with last week. In fact, all the other guys except one were cheating, while the other knew but kept quiet. Another lovely discovery from the chat was that he hasn't been using protection with the other women or with me, birth control. Meaning not only has he been cheating, he has also been putting me at high risk of an STD, while also risking mine and my elderly grandfather's life because of COVID. Needless to say, we've broken up and I feel better for it. But right now I'm friendless, single and waiting on STD results, which doesn't feel fantastic. So yep, definitely not the update I was hoping to do, but life clearly doesn't turn out the way you plan. Edit. Wow, I really was not expecting this response. Thank you for all the kind words. I'm at work at the moment and will try to respond as much as possible, but from the bottom of my heart, thank you all. And also thank you for the award. I'm very overwhelmed by all the kindness. Edit 2. Thank you again for all the kindness. I just thought I'd add a few things. 1. COVID isn't bad where I am. But when we hang out we social distance with masks. You can't social distance during sex, which is where my fear of COVID comes from too. One of the girls dumped her boyfriend, who wasn't cheating but knew, and the other took him back. He was cheating. And finally 3. I'm STD free. I got a call an hour ago and I'm so completely relieved now I can start to move on. Not an idiot. I don't know Opus, and have no reason to call you a liar. But this just seems a bit too convenient to really be true. Like, you wanted to be right, so supposedly everyone was this evil person and all the women were just innocent victims. It just doesn't seem real to me. Mainly because, while I know people who have cheated on their sig other, the fact that they guys supposedly had a standing evening every other week to do it just seems a bit much. What would you do if your cheating boyfriend gave you an STD? Let me know in the comments and buckle up for this insane next story. Am I an idiot for kicking a friend out of my house for what she said? Earlier today I had 2 friends over to watch a game and catch up as social distancing rules eased up a bit in my area. We're all women in our early 30 seconds. One friend, let's call her A, has had a very tough couple of years. She lost her husband last year. He was on deployment when he passed away, and tragedy struck again when her 6-year-old son passed away from cancer a few months ago. Needless to say, she was and still is devastated, and this was the first time she felt like hanging out since the loss of her son. My other friend, let's call her B, is very traditional and religious, while friend A and myself are not religious at all. But our differing views have never been an issue and we've gotten along just fine with friend B since we met her 5 years ago. Friend B has brought up what she believes are the benefits of religion to us a few times in the past, but always dropped the subject when we weren't responsive to it. Neither friend or I ever held any ill feelings towards her about this, as she wasn't too pushy with her beliefs. On to the situation that took place today. We were listening to friend A pour her heart out and doing our best to console her while being a shoulder to cry on. Friend A, through tears, said, "I don't know what I did wrong in my life to deserve to lose her husband and son." Instantly, friend B exclaimed, "Well, I can tell you that. You didn't allow God and the Bible into your life, so God punished you for it. Can you blame him?" Friend A just looked at her in awe. I lost it. I yelled at her that what she said was totally uncalled for and unbelievably hurtful. Then I got up, opened the front door and told her to get the hell out of my house and never contact me again. She tried to backtrack and say that she wasn't trying to be hurtful, but I wasn't having any of it. I yelled again, "Just get out of my house right now. Don't make me throw you out like a piece of trash." She huffed and left. Friend A was bawling at this point, but said thank you. We continued talking and she calmed down after a while. Looking back now, I realized that I possibly could have handled the situation better. Both friend A and I never thought friend B would say something like that. Maybe I overreacted, I don't know. Am I an idiot? Edit. I didn't expect this to take off as much as it did and I really appreciate all the comments, messages, and awards. I want to clarify why I think I may have overreacted. I always thought of myself as tolerant and a person who respects other people's views and beliefs, no matter how extreme. This situation made me react in a way that, in my mind, didn't make me a tolerant person, because I did throw someone out of my house for saying something that I thought was out of line. But it still was part of their belief system. This is the reason I wanted opinions from the fellow Redditors, as I obviously can't be unbiased here. Thank you all for your input. Update. It's been a few weeks since the situation happened, so I will start off by saying that friend B did not apologize to friend A for what she said. Matter of fact, she hasn't reached out to either one of us since then. We also didn't reach out to her. Unfortunately, B's words from that day really got to friend as she struggled with survivor's guilt and questioned her upbringing, lifestyle, views on religion, etc. She doubled her therapy sessions and I spent my free time keeping her company. A couple of weeks ago, I went over to her place and found her reading a Bible and, almost obsessively, flagging pages. She said she was researching to check if what B told her was true. She started reading excerpts and telling me her interpretations. This behavior did scare me a bit, so I suggested she bring this up to her therapist. It was the only thing I could think of to help calm her down. She did talk to the therapist, who suggested she perhaps talk to a pastor instead of trying to come up with her own conclusions. She asked me to go with her, which I did, but told me to just wait for her at the church while she talked to the pastor privately. After, she said that she felt better and was more convinced that B was full of it. She also seemed calmer, so I believe the conversation did help her. I was at her house on Friday and she told me that she still thinks about what was said, and although she feels much better after talking to the pastor, he's only one person and what if he is wrong? I tried to reassure her again and talk through her feelings, but I could tell it was still eating at her. I had a feeling she might spiral again. Then I had an idea. I told her about the post I made here and explained why, how it works, etc. She's not a Reddit user. I pulled up my original post and asked her to read the comments to show her how hundreds of people, religious and non-religious, felt about what was said. We spent the evening reading each comment. She cried, she laughed, she was surprised and overwhelmed at the amount of support and reassuring words from all these strangers. I could tell she was more and more relieved as we read. She has been in a much better state of mind since then, so seeing hundreds of people disagree with B's words definitely had a positive impact on her. So dear Redditors, thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping my friend with your kind words and reassurance. She has a long road ahead of her in this grieving process, but she's going strong. Not an idiot. Wow, the tremendous effort and perseverance you took to reach into your friend's darkness and haul her out is wonderful to see. She was hanging on a ledge by her fingertips, your ex-friend stomped on her fingers, and you just dove down after your friend and stuck with her and got creative out of concern. She's lucky to have you, and smart enough to know it. Well done. Now for the next story. Am I an idiot for objecting to Girls' Day? I'm a 28Y, male and my immediate family is all women. Mostly this is because I was raised by my mother and have no contact with my father's side of the family due to a messy divorce when I was young. My 2 sisters, early 32nds, my 3 aunts, 2 who are my mother's sisters and 1 married into the family and married my aunt, and they have an assortment of close friends of the family, all of which are women that also go to these events. About 3 years ago, my mother had an idea to do a girls-only weekend. Originally this was to see one of the Magic Mike movies, and because it was such a hit they started to do these weekend outings once or twice a month. Originally it didn't bother me, because I'm an adult and I have my own life, and my own house, and I really didn't even think about it. But an incident recently made me annoyed at the whole concept. My aunt's birthday was in January and normally we go to her favorite restaurant for her birthday, which also incidentally is my favorite restaurant. So I bought her a present and a card, and waited for an invitation and none came. When I asked what was going on for her birthday, I was told they celebrated it early on their girls' day because she was going to be out of state during her birthday. This kind of irked me because when I mentioned I bought her a present, my mother told me to just drive over to her house and give it to her. I felt pretty left out since I am the only male in my immediate family. Having a girls' day is the equivalent to saying, hey, let's celebrate my birthday, but not invite him. I griped about it and was told that I was basically being self-centered and that she can celebrate her birthday however she wants. I agree with that, but once again, I'm the only one being left out and it feels shitty. The proverbial straw that broke the camel's back was I was just informed that they were planning a summer vacation this year as girls only too. And when I asked my mother what about the vacation we normally take as a family, she told me that they can't afford to do both, so they are just doing the girls only vacation this year. At this point I was very annoyed and had a loud argument with my mother and sister, telling them that it's really shitty that twice a month they have group activities and specifically exclude me, and on top of that are now even taking vacations and excluding me. Nothing came of the argument and they wouldn't budge, so I decided I needed a break from my immediate family because they don't consider my feelings relevant. So I removed myself from the family group chat and deactivated my Facebook. Now my phone is being blown up and I'm being told that I'm immature and I need to grow up. I responded that a lot of grown people don't see much of their family at all and I'm just going to follow that example. Am I the idiot here? Update. This last month has been kind of wild for me, so I haven't had an opportunity to update this until now. So the descriptions of my family and my family situation in this thread was specific enough that one of my family members found out about it and confronted me. Due to the fact that I had deactivated my Facebook and was only receiving text messages, I didn't realize what was happening before I was ambushed by it. My sister, the oldest, confronted me about it and asked if it was me who made the thread, and I confirmed that it was. And she insisted I was being shitty for airing the family's laundry like that. I responded that I in no way did that, as I was speaking very generally and never identified who my family was. This spread to my family and now the thread was shared on Facebook and everyone was shown. I was invited to a family meeting. We never have those, where I was sat in front of a firing squad of angry women who told me that what I did was wrong and demanded an apology. They said that I knew they weren't excluding me and because I gave everyone that impression I owed them an apology. I replied that I absolutely did not know they were not excluding me, and included examples of things they did, such as the birthday dinner, going to an amusement park, and going to a baseball game. Once again, they characterized this as a girls-only event of fun where boys just weren't allowed or welcome because they wanted to talk about things guys wouldn't be interested in. I replied that she needs to stop saying guys because there is only one guy who would have been invited, and that's me. So what she's really saying is it's a no-opus event, not a girls-only event. They explained that it wasn't excluding me because regardless of whether I was interested in the event, the conversation would have bored me because I'm not a girl. At this point we were going around in circles, so I just explained my perspective. I said that I'm the only male in our immediate family. When the people in my immediate family get together on a regular basis, not a one-off or once in a while, and don't include me, regardless of what they called it, I feel excluded. I explained that the breaking point was the family vacation, and that there was absolutely no reason to leave me out of a vacation I was always invited to, particularly when that's the only family vacation we do and they've stated they cannot afford a second one. At the end of this family meeting, I was never given an apology, no one tried to empathize with my perspective, and I was accused of many things that I didn't do by any reasonable interpretation. I told my mother and my sisters that we reached a breaking point in our relationship and that I was going no contact for a while. I told them I'm an adult, and I have my own life, and the reason I wanted to be involved was because I didn't want one of those family relationships where you only see your family at holidays. If that's not what my family wants, then it's okay. But I told them that I was not going to be involved with people who made me feel shitty and intentionally leave me on the outside looking in of my own family. My mother, sisters told me that if I was going to lie about them to everyone that they don't care. At this point, my relationship with my family is over. I left that family meeting and have not reactivated Facebook and have not received any contact and have not initiated any contact. Not an idiot. I'm so sorry, Opus. I wish you speedy healing, difficult as it may be. Since at least one family member is reading, let me say you're miserable people if the general thrust of the story matches Opus's telling of it. Shame on you. Also, you're nuts if you think a catty group is going to be satisfied with ostracizing just one person. Look around your group and ask yourself who's next. Not an idiot. If the family is reading this, you guys just lost someone who loved you enough to want to spend time with you. How can a mother exclude her own son? How can a sister not defend her own brother? Shame on you guys. It sounds like this guy is serious. Say goodbye to one of the only people that ever gave a shot about you guys, because even if he does come back, it'll never be the same. I would never do this to my family. Honestly, you guys disgust me. Am I an idiot for not accepting my sister's relationship with my ex despite her having cancer as a teenager? My female, 25, father married my stepsisters, female 23, mother when I was 4 and she was 3. We've lived together most of our lives and are a family. She and I were extremely close. She developed cancer when she was 14 and was sick for about 2 years. She's since made a full recovery. During that time, my parents became understandably overprotective. They also asked a lot of me. I quit my extracurriculars so I could get a job. The money went towards her medical bills, and so I could drive her to appointments. I didn't go to dances and any fun activities I did needed to include her. I did almost all of this willingly, the exception being having to quit my high school volleyball team. I did throw a bit of a tantrum about that, but was swiftly punished. And I think having one emotional breakdown was pretty chill given the circumstances. Anyhow, I go to college and meet my ex, we'll call him Ben, when I'm a junior. We fell in love, blah blah blah. He and I move in together when we graduate, so we've been living together for about 3 years. We were serious until July when I walked into my bedroom and saw him freaking my sister. I broke it off. Tears were shed. He moved out, etc. My sister apologized at first but then backed off. I thought she was giving me space, but last week she called and asked if we could meet up. She told me that she and Ben were in love and were just telling me as a courtesy before they started posting photos online. Distraught, I left her in the restaurant by herself and did not pay my portion of the bill. She later texted me asking for the money. She told my parents, who then called me to their house, telling me how disappointed in me they are for not supporting my sister's relationship with Ben. They brought up the fact that because she had cancer as a teenager, she never learned proper social etiquette and has a hard time meeting people. I don't buy this, in part because I've seen her socialize just fine, and since we spent a good chunk of the time she was sick together, that would also mean that I should have bad social skills as well, by that logic. They then told me that if I don't accept my sister and Ben's relationship, they may have to go no contact with me. I reminded them that I'm also their daughter and they should understand my point of view, but they are adamant that this is about me being jealous of her. For the record, I'm not jealous of her. I'm not upset that Ben picked her over me. I'm sad about the end of the relationship and do feel betrayed. But Lord knows that I don't want to be with a cheater. What I'm upset about is the fact that my sister chose Ben over me, that she slept with Ben knowing he and I were in a long-term, committed relationship, and continues to be with him knowing how much it hurts me. Now no one in my immediate family is talking to me and I'm getting messages from aunts and uncles and cousins telling me that I'm an idiot and a selfish butch. Edit. Thank you everyone so much for your comments. This has gotten more attention than I expected and I am having trouble keeping up, so if I don't say thank you, then thank you. I've been given a lot of food for thought. TBH, while I've had moments where I've been resentful or upset about my teenage years, I've always thought that I did the right thing for my sister and for my family. And that time wasn't all miserable. I was very close to my sister and we made things as fun as we could. But I didn't think of it as an abdication of my parents' responsibilities or that they were doing wrong by me, which many of you pointed out. I definitely have a lot to think about. Thank you again for making me feel less crazy about all of this. Update. Sometimes you can only laugh. Just got off the phone with my cousin who saw this post and said he could explain a few things. I asked him him why he was on Reddit instead of school. He asked me why I was on Reddit instead of work, and I said touche. He told me that after my conversation with my mom, she went to his house and talked to my aunt. And here's the deal. Turns out my sister is not only in a relationship with Ben but 4 months pregnant, which means she and Ben were fricking for longer than I had even guessed. Apparently my parents are so adamant that I forgive her because I'm already ruining their experience of their first grandchild. That's right, I'm less important than my stepmom posting ultrasounds to Facebook. This is where we're at. Anyhow, I called out of work sick the rest of the day and I'm going to drink a lot of alcohol. Like, a lot of alcohol, and then start thinking about what the frick I'm going to do. I was asked for an update and thus, here I am. 2 things to clarify before I update. 1. I didn't have a shitty childhood. The favoritism started when my sister was diagnosed. I moved out soon after and have been pretty independent since then. Not saying that how my parents treated me during those years were okay, but I wasn't Cinderella. 2. I did not drink myself into oblivion. I had 2 white wine spritzers, but I appreciate the concern from folks. Anyhow, the update. I got in touch with my sister and asked her to meet up again at a park, no bill involved. I asked her if she was pregnant and she told me the truth. She said she wanted us to still be in each other's lives and that she wanted me to be in her babies. A Redditor, and I forget who, I'm sorry, mentioned that she may ask me to be the godmother and that person was correct. But as many of you pointed out, if I didn't cut her off, I'd just become her bank and daycare employee. So I told her I could no longer be in her life, and I left her crying on a park bench and felt like the shittiest person in the world. I emailed my parents and told them how betrayed I felt and that I'd be cutting off contact with them. To my stepmom's credit, she apologized. She explained that she never thought my sister would live to have kids and that she let her emotions get the better of her. Understandable. My dad said nothing, which is honestly what sucked the worst about all of this. Ben tried messaging me from a burner account for the first time since the breakup, but I blocked him without reading it. I didn't go nuclear and post the story to Facebook as some suggested, but I sent an email to the extended family members who I care about. I explained the situation and how I'd be distancing myself from my family. Some have made it an us versus them situation, and as much as I appreciate the support, feeling like I'm in some valiant battle just makes me more tired. So I haven't been talking to much of anyone in my family. I feel lonely and crappy, but I think I made the right decision. Anyhow, not the most exciting update in the world, but hopefully everyone knows that I'm not dead. I do really appreciate the support I've gotten. It made me smile during a really shitty time. And hey, if anyone in the greater Boston area wants an extra guest at Thanksgiving, let me know. Would you invite her to Thanksgiving? Let me know in the comments. Now, you won't want to miss the next story. Am I an idiot for telling my boyfriend he's a bad person? So recently my boyfriend got some dental trays for his teeth done. Molds of your teeth, which can be used to put product in to whiten your teeth. He's done this before but lost his last set of trays, so went somewhere new to get some new trays done. My boyfriend told me that when going to pick up his dental trays, the receptionist just gave him the trays without asking for payment. He then took the trays and left knowing he had not paid for them. The receptionist called shortly after he left and explained that a mistake was made and could he please either come back and pay for the trays or pay over the phone. My boyfriend lied, saying he was adamant he had already paid before picking the trays up, and it wasn't his fault that they had no record of him paying, that he didn't keep his receipt to prove it to them. He was pretty vocal to me about not wanting to pay for the dental trays if he didn't have to, and that it was the receptionist's mistake and on her. What sparked our argument about this was a car journey where he answered the phone to the manager of the dental practice, who was following up the call with the receptionist. My boyfriend continued with his lie that he had already paid and it was not his problem, that they could not provide proof of this. Now, something about witnessing him lie so easily to this man really bothered me, and it bothered me that he didn't care if the receptionist may get into serious trouble or even lose her job over this mistake, or that he wasn't losing out by paying as he would have paid for the product in normal circumstances. After the call, which didn't reach any resolution, I told him that was very uncomfortable for me to hear and witness, and he's a bad person for lying like that when he knows full well it was likely an honest mistake by the receptionist, and he got a product he didn't pay for. My boyfriend is now giving me the silent treatment and seems really hurt that I called him a bad person. He says most people would avoid paying for something if they didn't have to. Am I an idiot? Should I apologize? Update. Thanks for the rewards. A lot has happened since my opus. I spoke to the manager of the dental practice. I explained that my boyfriend, BF, had been open to me about not paying and that he doesn't plan to. The manager said a letter was already on the way demanding the payment, and if BF fails to pay, the court proceedings will begin. He was thankful I called and knew it was their mistake, but was surprised by my BF's attempts to argue with him. That's a good result for now. I didn't plan on telling my BF as I wanted to end it. There were too many red flags, so I decided I couldn't ever truly trust him, and I didn't want to add fuel to the fire. But before I got to end our relationship in person, I learned another painful lesson. Recently my BF's laptop broke. This was fine as it was old and he can't work from home anyway. He sells cars, so he's used mine. Earlier this week I'm on my laptop working and went to check my personal emails, except my BF's email was still logged in when I opened the webpage. I went to log out but saw the most recent 30-ish emails were all from the same person, a girl. This was weird, as who emails like that to converse anymore? I know it was an invasion of privacy, but I clicked onto the emails. I deduced this was a girl from his work. They were emailing because her mobile phone was broken, and emailing him from her work email during the day was an easy way for them to still talk. The emails were flirtatious. They mentioned dates they'd been on. He'd clearly been to her house, they spent lunch breaks together, and she thought he was single. The more I read, the more enraged I became. What if I'd never clicked the email? After considering where I could bury him, I decided to remain calm. I called my manager to tell her what I'd just learned. She's super cool and said to take the afternoon. I then called an emergency locksmith and packed up my BF stuff. He alternates between staying at mine and his mom's, except for his PS5 I bought for his 25th birthday last month. When this purge of my BF from my life was ready, I texted him, "I know about us, our relationship is over, your things are on the doorstep. You must transfer me the money for XYZ. Please don't ever contact me again," and blocked him on everything. A little while later, there's knocking at my door as he's pleading to be let in to talk about it. I can see him but stay silent where he can't see me. He was on his knees crying, begging, pleading for me not to leave him. Whether they were crocodile tears or not, my heart ached. After some time he left with his stuff. I felt relief and had a good cry, but I doubt that's the last I'll hear from him. I feel heartbroken and stupid. An enormous thank you to all those who said his behavior was revealing of his character, what he's capable of. I will apply the same vigilance to future partners. I know this is a dodged bullet, but it hurts like hell. Edit. Just wanted to clarify some things. I kicked him out of my house. I own it. He's never paid anything towards it and has no documentation linking him to my house. He alternates between staying at mine and his mother's, with his mother's being his official and primary residency. Weirdly, some of you are really focused on the fact I kept the PS5. But I paid for it, had the receipts, and it never left my home. I feel like retracting this gift. He's had little over a week as an idiot. Tax is morally justified after he's been a 5 idiot. And last time I checked, this was a moral judgment, not a legality sub. I think they'd be very different comments if this was the other way around and he'd just given me an engagement ring and then found out I was cheating not even 2 weeks later. Yes, it'd be mine under the jurisdiction of a gift. But is it morally right I get to keep the ring? Probably not. I noted down the email of the girl my ex was cheating with in case I wanted to contact her directly. I was thinking of constructing a message explaining everything and assuring her I'm not bitter towards her. Then it's up to her what she wants to do with that info. Thanks so much for all the supportive messages and comments. I am reading every single one. I'm honestly shocked at the amount of kindness from strangers. Not an idiot. I also believe you have a right to take back everything expensive that you bought for him. You had every right to kick him out of your house. Ignore everyone who says otherwise. He was in the wrong. A cheat and a liar. You're better off without him. Not an idiot. Way to go. That is some serious shadiness. Glad you saw it early. Sorry you had to hear the hard news in a totally short way. But proud of you. Crocodile tears can still trigger sympathetic emotions, but you made the right choice.